You're a small-time lawyer, competent enough not to sleep under a bridge, but not good enough to have your name on the door of a towering office building. You're 35 years old. Financial pressure tightens around your neck like a cheap tie. Your parents are sick, medical bills keep piling up, and your child needs to go to school. The full weight of a broken American dream rests on your exhausted shoulders, but don't worry. Today, fate throws you a lifeline. Or so you think. The opportunity of a lifetime lands in your lap. A medical malpractice lawsuit against a massive pharmaceutical corporation. It's your golden ticket. If you win, you take 40% of a multi-million-dollar settlement. You'll be rich, famous, and finally the successful son your parents deserve. Of course, life always offers hope, but rarely to people like you. You throw everything you have into the trial only to discover that the corporation has an army of lawyers who charge more per hour than you make in a year. They tear you apart in court. You don't just lose the case because of a humiliating legal technicality. The judge publicly questions your competence. The outcome is catastrophic. Your reputation goes up in smoke. After this disaster, no one in the city will hire you, not even to fight a traffic ticket. And just when you think you can't sink any lower, the phone rings. It's the hospital. They want payment for your parents' treatments. You look at the bills, you look at your empty bank account, and you realize that desperation has a very bitter taste. Just as you're calculating how much your kidneys might be worth on the black market, an old colleague shows up. 2 years ago, he was just as pathetic as you. Now he drives a car worth more than your house and wears suits that scream dirty money. He invites you to dinner and makes you an offer you can't refuse. Or at least one you definitely shouldn't accept if you had any common sense. He offers you a job working for some businessmen in Mexico. Yes, those businessmen, the kind who resolve labor disputes with chainsaws instead of mediation. Narcos, he calls them. He tells you all you need to do is be clever, and you'll make more money in a single month than any corporate lawyer earns in a decade. At first, your conscience screams at you to reject the offer and walk away from this man. But then you think about the hospital bills, your child's tuition, and suddenly all those moral concerns fade into the background. You decide to take the risk just once. You lie to your wife with the most honest face you can manage. You tell her you're going to work for an important international client. Something boring, something safe. You say goodbye to your family with a knot in your stomach. You get into your friend's car and begin your journey toward the promised land. After a few days of travel, you finally reach your destination. Your imagination, fed by far too many action movies, was expecting a crumbling house where the alarm clock is the sound of gunfire at dawn. Instead, reality slaps you with luxury. The office is immaculate, air-conditioned, filled with designer furniture. Ironically, it's far better than the legal dumpster you used to work in back home. That's where they explain the house rules. There are only two, and they're surprisingly simple. First, you don't need to prove the client is an innocent saint. You only need to prove that the state is incapable of proving guilt. Second, and listen to this one carefully, under no circumstances do you ever reject a client. Your first assignment arrives and you brace for the worst. Instead, it's disappointingly normal. You don't even have to go to court. It's just consulting work. They ask you the same questions any boring corporation would ask. How do we legally optimize taxes? How do we safely declare assets? And plenty of hypothetical questions that start with, let's assume my company is in this situation. The meeting flows smoothly like a casual coffee chat. In the end, they pay you 10 times your usual rate for stating obvious legal facts. Everything is so civilized, so bureaucratic, that you begin to wonder if maybe you've misjudged drug cartels. Maybe they're just misunderstood businessmen with a very aggressive business model. A full week has passed, and honestly, it's ridiculously easy. All you do is basic corporate consulting and every now and then a bit of creative testimony editing. You know, coaching clients to say, "I don't recall clearly," instead of, "I didn't do it." Teaching them to say, "I heard rumors," instead of, "I know for a fact." It's easy money with no apparent risk. You can feel it. You're on the verge of becoming a millionaire at 35. Until one day, a special client walks in. So, with absolute confidence, you turn the job down. The man stands up, looks at you with cold, empty eyes, and leaves without saying a word. Congratulations. You've just made a fatal mistake. You forgot rule number 2. You never reject a client. 5 minutes later, your old friend walks into the office. He's not alone. He brings 2 gorillas who look like they eat weights for breakfast. Before you can even say hello, a fist slams into your face with the force of a freight train. You don't even have time to process the pain before your ribs become intimately familiar with boots and fists. They beat you with methodical precision until the lights go out. You wake up gasping as a bucket of ice-cold water is thrown in your face. You're tied to a chair, bruised and bleeding. Your friend, the same one who brought you here, begins his sermon. He tells you that you're ungrateful, a fool who doesn't know his place. As his voice echoes inside your throbbing skull, reality hits you harder than any punch. You chose to walk into hell yourself, and you've just learned there is no exit. After the beating, your colleague decides to secure your loyalty in a more permanent way. He confiscates your passport, your phone, and any remaining trace of individual freedom. Then he pulls out a recent photo of your wife and child playing in the park. With a smile that could make hell itself uncomfortable, he says softly, "The next time you say no to a client, or if you lose any case in the future, you won't be the one ending up in the hospital." The message is clear. Your life no longer belongs to you. It now belongs to the organization. A week later, when your bruises are barely starting to fade, a new client arrives. The request is simple in theory, but suicidal in practice. You must save a high-level cartel boss from being extradited to the United States. They're not asking you to prove his innocence. That would be ridiculous. The goal is far more specific. You must make sure he serves his sentence here in a national prison where he controls the guards, not in a U.S. maximum security cell where he would be nobody. You know this is a legal nightmare. The U.S. Department of Justice doesn't usually take no for an answer. It's a losing battle before it even begins. But then you remember the photo of your family. You remember rule number 2. So, with your stomach churning and your hands trembling under the table, you accept the case. You smile and say, "Leave it to me." Even though, in your mind, you don't have the faintest idea how you're going to pull off this miracle. You lock yourself in a room, surrounded by mountains of files for 3 straight days. Your diet consists exclusively of cheap caffeine and pure panic. You know that if you fail, you won't just lose the case, you'll lose your family. So you read every line, every footnote, searching for a crack in the prosecution's armor. And you find it. It's not a crack, it's a canyon. The day of the trial arrives. You walk into the courtroom not like a defense attorney, but like a predator. Your goal isn't to prove innocence, that's for fairy tales. Your goal is reasonable doubt. The prosecution presents its star witness, a cartel lieutenant, a traitor, a man who supposedly knows everything. They present his testimony as absolute truth. But when it's your turn, you ask him about drugs. You ask him about his personal blog. With a predatory smile, you reveal to the jury that this man firmly believes the government is controlled by alien lizards and that the world ended in 2012. You ask the jury, can we really trust the word of a man who believes his microwave talks to him? Then you point to the deal he made with the government. In exchange for his testimony, his 30-year sentence was reduced to 3. You paint him not as a remorseful criminal, but as an opportunistic liar who would say anything, even that the moon is made of cheese, to save his own skin. The witness's credibility collapses almost instantly under just a few of your arguments. Next, the prosecution plays an audio recording. A hoarse voice can be heard, ordering millions of dollars to be moved to accounts in the Cayman Islands. It sounds damning, but you stand up and introduce a simple, devastating doubt. Is that really my client's voice? Without biometric voice analysis, you argue, the recording is unusable. You say, that hoarse voice could be my client. It could be the prosecutor with the flu. Or it could be anyone in this room. Without positive technical identification, the tape is just noise, not evidence. Finally, they bring out the heavy weapon, a recording found on a cell phone in which the cartel boss allegedly orders the execution of a federal agent. This could be the end, but you've done your homework. You request the chain of custody log. You point out a critical 48-hour gap in the record. From the moment the police seized the phone to when it arrived at the lab, no one signed for it. You look at the jury and say, "Ladies and gentlemen, for 2 entire days, this phone was a ghost. Anyone could have handled it. Anyone could have uploaded that audio file, a corrupt officer, a rival, anyone." Reasonable doubt floods the courtroom. If the police can't prove who had the phone, the evidence is contaminated. The judge slams the gavel. Case dismissed due to lack of conclusive evidence. Your client will not be extradited. You did it. You turned a criminal into a victim of the system. You leave the courthouse trembling, soaked in cold sweat. Your old colleague is waiting outside. He puts an arm around your shoulders and laughs like your old friends who just won a soccer match. He hands you a thick envelope. It contains $40,000 in cash. He takes you to a luxury apartment, far better than your real home, and gives you a phone. You can call your wife. You hear her voice and nearly break. She asks why you sound strange. You lie. You say the work is hard, but everything is fine. As you talk, your colleague watches you from the couch, cleaning his nails with a knife. When you hang up, his smile disappears. He leans in close and whispers in your ear, "Good job, partner. But remember, if you tell her even one real word or tell anyone in your family, they won't just stop receiving calls, they'll stop existing. They'll disappear so fast you'll start to wonder if you ever had. Enjoy the money. The call with your wife is difficult. You've been together long enough for her to read your silences better than you read the law." She notices the tremor in your voice, the shadow in your eyes that not even distance can hide. She asks what's really going on. You, now the professional coward you've become, tell her it's nothing, just work stress. She doesn't believe you, and you both know it. But silence is safer than the truth. That night, alone in the solitude of your golden cage, you check the pockets of your suit. You find a folded piece of paper. You have no idea how it got there. A reverse pickpocket. You unfold it. The message freezes your blood. Someone claims to be an undercover DEA agent. He writes that his team has been exposed and eliminated. He's alone, surrounded by wolves, and can't finish the mission without inside help. In other words, you. The proposal is simple and terrifying. If you want out of this hell and to return to your family under government protection, you must help him. The signal is ridiculously cliché. If you accept, you're to wear a red tie tomorrow. He'll contact you. You sit on the edge of the bed, your heart pounding like a war drum. Helping the DEA is a guaranteed death sentence if you're caught. It's madness, it's suicide. But then you look at the walls of your luxury apartment, which now feel like the bars of a cell. You think about not watching your child grow up. The fear of dying clashes with the fear of living like this forever. In the end, desperation wins. You walk to your closet. Tomorrow you'll wear the red tie. May God have mercy on your soul. The next morning, you tie the red tie around your neck. You feel ridiculous. You feel like a neon lighthouse in the dark screaming, "Hello! I'm conspiring against the cartel. Please kill me." You walk through the office trying to act normal, but your version of normal looks more like a penguin having a panic attack. Every glance from the receptionist, every greeting from the security guard makes you feel like they already know. You expect someone to approach you and whisper a secret password, but nothing happens. Absolutely nothing. The day passes with a terrifying sense of normalcy. Night falls. You return to your apartment, take off the tie, and slip your hand into your pants pocket. Your heart stops. There it is. Another piece of paper. You freeze. How the hell did it get there? You replay your day in your head. Was it when you bumped into the janitor in the hallway? When you were crushed inside the elevator with 3 other employees? Or maybe when your bodyguard handed you a bottle of water? This spy's skill is so terrifying it borders on the supernatural. You read the note. Nice tie. Now, get to work. Thus begins a correspondence worthy of a low-budget spy novel. The agreed method is simple but risky. You must write your messages on the back of cafeteria receipts and drop them into the trash can of the third-floor bathroom, hidden inside an empty coffee cup. It's disgusting, yes, but no one checks the trash. Except, apparently, your DEA guardian angel. Through these coffee-stained messages, the plan takes shape. The agent needs something big. He doesn't want street-level dealers, he wants the head of the snake. He wants the payroll list, not the employee list, the other one. The list of judges, police officers, and politicians in the cartel's pocket. During the cartel's anniversary party next week, when security is distracted by alcohol and women, you'll access the server. You'll copy the files onto an encrypted drive. Then you must take that drive to the executive floor bathroom. At midnight, the agent will retrieve it, and at that exact moment, a DEA tactical team will storm the building. In the chaos, you'll be arrested and safely transported to the United States. It sounds perfect. It sounds heroic. It sounds like you have a 90% chance of dying and a 10% chance of wetting your pants. But there's no turning back now. You write your final message on a greasy napkin. Understood. Midnight. Don't be late. You toss it into the trash and pray that your luck isn't the next thing to be thrown away. Night falls and seems full of promise. Or at least that's what you tell yourself as you wait at the secret meeting point. From the shadows, a massive figure emerges. Your heart stops for a second because you recognize him. He's one of the two gorillas who gave you the beating of your life a few days ago. Your soul nearly leaves your body. In silence, you think you're already dead. It turns out the man who broke your rib is your contact, your ticket out, your entry into witness protection. The exchange begins. You hand him the hard drive filled with incriminating evidence. The giant looks you in the eyes and promises he'll get you out of this hell. But before he can finish the sentence, a black pistol appears out of nowhere, aimed at his head. It's your co-worker. The plan has gone wrong. Or rather, the plan has gone exactly as you designed it. Let's rewind the tape to the night before. You were standing in your room staring at that empty suitcase. Fear was eating you alive. The DEA was offering you freedom, yes. But the cartel was offering something far more immediate. Staying alive. Your survival instinct, that cowardly parasite living in your brain, took control. Instead of packing, you went to see your colleague, the warehouse supervisor. You made a deal with him. In exchange for the head of the DEA mole, you'd get a promotion, and they'd stop using you as a punching bag. They promised you'd be part of the family. Back to the present. The giant reacts with almost divine speed. With a single move, he knocks the gun aside and kicks your coworker away. He grabs your arm, desperate to save you. Don't worry, brother. I'll distract them. Take the evidence and run, he shouts. He doesn't hesitate for a second. He believes you're both trapped. His only concern is that you make it out alive. But you don't run. You pull free from his grip and slowly back toward the criminals. I'm sorry, you whisper. The agent freezes, understanding hitting him harder than any bullet ever could. In that split second of shock, the hitmen take him down easily. They drag him into the darkness, and you know exactly what awaits him. There will be no trial, no lawyers, and certainly no happy ending. The supervisor approaches, dusts himself off, and pats you on the back. Welcome to the club, kid, he says. You won. You're alive. You got your promotion. But as you watch the taillights of the car carrying those people disappear into the night, you finally understand the truth. You're something worse than a criminal. You're human garbage with a flawless survival instinct. Your betrayal worked as the perfect calling card. As a reward for selling out the only decent man who tried to save you, you don't receive cash in a paper bag. You receive something far more valuable: access. They take you to the main estate to meet the boss. You expected a scarred monster covered in tattoos, but Instead, you're greeted by a frail-looking old man who waters his orchids with the same calm he uses to order mass executions. The boss looks at you, smiles, and tells you that you have a future. He says he likes pragmatic people, people who know when to sacrifice a pawn to save the king. And you, my friend, have just proven you're a natural chess player. Instead of sending you back to the warehouse to haul boxes, they decide to exploit your talent for manipulation in a more sophisticated environment. You're assigned to the organization's legal team. It turns out your lack of a moral compass is an exceptionally transferable skill in criminal corporate law. Over the next 5 years, your life changes radically. You trade sweat and filth for Italian silk suits and air-conditioned offices. You become a wizard of bureaucracy. You make lawsuits disappear, launder money so efficiently it looks freshly printed, and find legal loopholes where no one else sees them. To the government, you're a respectable lawyer. To the cartel, you're the plumber who fixes the financial pipes before they burst. You become indispensable. You're the #1 lawyer, the man who whispers in the ear of power. The boss no longer sees you as an employee, but as an adopted son, someone to trust blindly. You've reached the top of the mountain, and the view is spectacular, so long as you ignore the corpses beneath your feet. Then comes the day everyone feared, but the one you've been waiting for 5 years. The boss has finally been arrested. The charges are endless, enough to make anyone tremble. International drug trafficking, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit murder. The courtroom is packed to the brim. He sits at the defendant's table calm and confident because he knows you're the best lawyer in the city, and because he believes you're his most loyal lapdog. You stand up and begin a performance worthy of an Oscar. With surgical precision, you dismantle the police's arguments. You expose incompetence in the chain of custody. You make the prosecution's witnesses look confused and dishonest. Your voice echoes through the courtroom, dripping with feigned outrage at the injustice being committed against your respectable client. You see the judge begin to feel it. You see doubt creep into the jury's eyes. The boss looks at you and smiles, the arrogant smile of a man who believes he's above the law. He's convinced he'll be sleeping in his own bed tonight. The judge appears ready to dismiss the case for lack of conclusive evidence. The atmosphere reeks of victory for the defense. And then it happens. The prosecutor stands up, a strange glint in his eyes. He asks permission to present new evidence that arrived anonymously in his office earlier that morning. The judge allows it. The prosecutor produces a black ledger and a series of high-quality recordings. These aren't circumstantial clues, they are detailed records of every gram sold, every bribe paid, and every execution ordered over the past 5 years. The courtroom falls into absolute silence. The color drains from the boss's face. He turns toward you, eyes wide with panic, waiting for you to object, to shout, to do something to stop this. He knows only one person had access to that safe, but you don't move.
Just walk out.
You remain seated, calmly adjusting your tie. You don't say a single word. In that instant, his expression shifts from desperation to pure horror as the realization of betrayal hits him. He thought you were saving him from prison, and he was right. He isn't going to prison. With this new evidence, the sentence will no longer be life imprisonment. The prosecutor has just requested the death penalty. And you, his loyal lawyer, simply watch as the judge's gavel comes down, sealing his fate forever. As the boss is dragged out of the courtroom, screaming curses, your corrupt partner, watching from the gallery, pulls out his phone, shaking with rage. He dials the hitman's emergency number. His order is simple and brutal. Kill your wife and children immediately. But on the other end of the line, it's not an assassin who answers, it's a federal agent. Your hitmen were neutralized hours ago. Your family is safe, drinking hot chocolate in an FBI safe house. It turns out you were never a traitor. From the very beginning, that undercover agent knew he would eventually be exposed, so he chose to sacrifice himself by betting everything on you. He was the one who convinced you, almost forced you, to turn him in and use him as a stepping stone to earn the boss's blind trust. That was the foundation needed to drag everyone into the light. And it was the right choice. You never betrayed him, though you still feel terrible and despicable for allowing someone to die for you. Fortunately, it worked. Watching the Empire fall is the final gift you give to that brave agent. The raid is massive. Not only does the boss fall, every high-level manager is arrested simultaneously. The verdict is merciless. Some will receive the lethal injection alongside their leader. Others will rot in prison under multiple life sentences. The cartel has been erased from the map. And what about you? By the letter of the law, after years of complicity, money laundering, and evidence manipulation, you should spend the next 150 years staring at a concrete wall. But the justice system is pragmatic. You handed over the biggest shark, so the small fish are allowed to swim free. Your immunity is the price of their heads. You leave the courthouse through a back door. A black van with tinted windows is waiting inside. An agent hands you a manila envelope. Inside are new passports, new social security numbers, and a new life. You move to a state where snow covers the ground 6 months of the year. You're no longer the mafia's star lawyer. You're no longer anyone's defender. That man died today in that courtroom. You climb into the van and embrace your family. The engine starts. For the first time in your life, you don't have to look over your shoulder. Now you're nobody. And being nobody has never felt so good. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to watch them.